As I talk to food companies, what we're hearing more is how can we design our systems to be just in case, not just in time? And so they're looking for ways to become more resilient, and there are lots of opportunities. One of them is ingredient flexibility. There are 21 ingredients in a Totino's pizza roll, right? And General Mills knew that the Totino's pizza roll, a lot of heat and serve products were incredibly popular during the pandemic because I can pick them up in the freezer, I can put them in the oven, I can get them on the table, there's some comfort food, this all works really well. So there was tremendous demand for Totino's pizza rolls, but guess what? They couldn't find all of those 21 ingredients on a consistent basis. So they put together a special group that really focused, and it included procurement, food scientists, label and regulatory, people in their kitchens, et cetera, that took this on collectively to say, what can we do to become more resilient and more flexible in our ingredients? They now developed 25 approved recipes to create Totino's pizza rolls. So it's great for General Mills, but it also provides other opportunities. What if some of those other ingredients have less impact on the environment? What if some of those other ingredients have higher nutritional value? What if some of those other ingredients allow them to engage with disadvantaged farmers or farmers that they haven't been able to on a regular basis because of scale issues? So it gives us the opportunity, once you create flexibility in the system, to look for new ideas, right? Disruption is the catalyst for creating change and for challenging the status quo. And so I have no reason to believe that the food scientists at General Mills would have looked for an additional recipe if there hadn't been sufficient disruption to force them to challenge the status quo to go, what are we going to do now? And companies are looking to find ways to create more resiliency in their supply chain, which now gives us the opportunity in agriculture to begin to ask the question, what can we do to help our food partners become more resilient? The second thing we're really seeing is SKU rationalization. So the SKU is just the barcode that identifies an individual product. And you may have noticed when we saw things that were out of stock, when they began to come back into stock, not everything came back in at the same time or the same pace, and some products have never come back in and will never come back in. So when you talk to people at Coca-Cola and Mondelez and other organizations, what they did was to say, okay, if we can't get all the aluminum we need for cans, or we can't get this ingredient, or we can't get that ingredient, let's focus on those products that are core to our business and where we generate the most margin. What they discovered was their business was actually healthier, and they generated more profits by reducing the number of SKUs. So if you are in love with diet vanilla, caffeine-free Coca-Cola, I'm sorry, it's gone, and it's not coming back. Right? So if you've gone down the soda aisle, it's one of the aisles where you can really appreciate this, where there are many fewer facings, but those facings are much deeper because they've gone back to kind of the core offerings that they've delivered. Now, I have no doubt that in the next generation or so, someone in marketing at those companies will go, hey, what if we expand this line again? And that conversation will take place. But one of the ways that companies dealt with the limited ability to secure all of the products they needed was to rationalize the number of SKUs, limit the number of products they were producing, and they actually found that made them more profitable in many cases, so they're not changing that behavior. So a lot of the things that went away are not coming back because they've now decided this is the more effective way for them to run their business. The other thing we're seeing, and I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, is backward integration and portfolio diversification. For those of you that are Costco shoppers, I am one. You know, the $4.99 rotisserie chicken is a staple, and every time I go in to buy one, I spend $250. So it's a great model for Costco, right? It works really well for them, but they've got to continue to find that chicken that they can sell for $4.99. So Costco built their own chicken operations, right? They've got their own chicken plant, one of the most modern in the country, maybe in the world. It's a phenomenal facility. If you haven't had a chance to see it, or go online and look at some of the YouTube. Significantly reduced water usage, significantly reduced labor requirements, so they can continue to offer that chicken. They contract grow with growers in the area, so they've backward integrated into poultry production to allow them to have the security of that supply chain. Walmart's done some of the same with dairy in Michigan, and they most recently made a significant investment in a packing plant for sustainable beef, which will, I think, is the name of the company, which is putting together the processing plant in Nebraska. So we're going to see more and more backward integration as well as companies look for ways to plan for just in case as opposed to just in time, realizing that the supply chain is more fragile and less resilient than perhaps we thought it might have been prior to the pandemic. So there are lessons to be learned from this as well. So what's the opportunity? One, become indispensable. And the way you become indispensable is by helping your customer be more resilient. It's not by looking for the best possible price today on a commodity product, but how can I add value by making my customer more resilient? The other opportunity is to go to companies like General Mills and say, now that you have these 25 different recipes, help me understand all of the ingredients that are in them, and is there an opportunity for me to partner with you to help provide that resiliency that you're looking for? So rather than simply looking at what can I do to maximize my price on a commodity product, what can I do to add value by increasing the resiliency of the supply chain? Because historically, that's not been a place where we've thought about adding value, but it is a place we need to add value today. And then explore new partnership opportunities and new channels. Direct-to-consumer continues to become extremely popular. It's growing exponentially as a result of what we've seen during the pandemic, and the barriers to entry have been reduced dramatically. So lots of different ways to think about how we can take what's happening in the supply chain and the disruption and capture opportunity from that.